Okay, hey, hi everyone. Welcome back with our LWC Revision series. So far, we have learned the component communication. One part of component communication that was using parent to child, right? So these are all whatever communication we are learning at present. These are the type of component communication, right? In which the components are related to each other, right? Either a parent, child, or a siblings, right? And there is another type of communication which is called as application. Okay, so this is component communication using component events, and the other one is communication for unrelated components, and that is using your application event, right? So when it comes to component communication, it's basically, now you see all the three example where there is a container component and a component within that container, right? Then there is a container component, there are multiple components within that. There is a parent, then a child, then a grandchild. There can be multiple levels, right? But these components are related to each other. That's where we say it as a component event. Okay, so this communication type is based on the component event communication. Okay, so in our previous session we learned about passing or exchanging information from parent to child, right? So we have seen two methods. One is using variable, one is using functions or method. So for that we have seen these things, right? Class 1 to class 2, how we can pass, right? If I go in parent.js, if you see here, right, variables and methods. So accessing variable or accessing methods, both this type we have learned in our earlier session. I hope you have practiced those both the types. Now let's go to the next part of it, right, where we need to learn communication from child to parent. So again, now what we are doing, if suppose within our child there are some elements where we are capturing some information from user or apex, and we want to pass that information on some click or some action to the parent, right? In that scenario we will need this type of communication, that is from child to parent. So now let's go there. So here if you see, right, now we have this above UI elements are from parent component, and this is from child 1, this is from child 2. What we have seen so far is from parent to child. So now this is getting passed from parent, this is getting passed from parent, right? If I enter something, send to child information, right? And then if I click on this button, what I am doing, I am creating the accessing this child component and dot the method which I decorated with at that API. So when I click on this, you see here the text is getting sent to the child component. Now what we are saying, suppose I am entering something here. This is from parent. Okay. Now what I want to do, if I click on this button, I want to get this information and send it to the parent. So if I click on this, see, in the parent I am able to pass those parameters. Now let's see how this can be achieved, right? From child, we are passing information to the parent. Now step by step, we'll see what are the steps here. Okay. Now we are in the child. First thing is, on the click of this button, we need to access this value. So simple thing, we will create this handler. Within this handler, we will access this element using our reps, this dot rep syntax, right? So I am going here. I have this method declared called handle child click, passing the event. This event holds the button element, right? Now what we are doing is we are accessing that value as well using this dot ref dot that id and the value. So this is our component input type text, and this is its attribute called value. So this is straightforward thing, right, which we have learned in our previous session, or rather in our first session, right? Now this is what is this, right? This is nothing but passing your information from child to the parent. So what we need to do, we need to raise one custom event, right? In this case, what we need to do is we need to create a custom event and dispatch it. So what are the things that we need to take care? So while we are creating custom event, first parameter we will pass as the name of the attribute which will handle the action. Okay, and second portion will be the parameters. So this you can consider this or treat this as a method, and then parameters. So what we are doing, create event method name comma parameters in the syntax provided like a JSON, right? In detail, it is holding this first variable, this second variable, right? This will come to it later, right? What is bubble and composed? But for now, you can focus on this, right? Detailed, origin, and these are the two variables or parameters we are passing as a part of this detail. Okay, you can pass normal data type or list of JSON or array, whatever you want to pass. Method and parameter. Now, how my parent component will come to know? So for that, dispatch the event, dispatch the event. Now in parent, right? In parent, what we have? We have a child. On that child, we need to have way to capture this event. What we are doing, from child we are creating event. Within that event we are invoking a method from parent, and or a way to invoke a method from parent, not directly the method. Okay, and then passing the parameters in this format. Okay, this is a kind of JSON format what we are doing. Within that detail we are passing this variable 1, variable 2, right? Now when I say dispatch event, I am passing this event in the dispatch. Now how to capture this? How would my parent component know that event has been dispatched? So remember this name, right? What is the parameter 1? This is very important. Now what we need to do, we just need to prepend it with on as a prefix. On is a keyword, right? If I go to parent, look at this child component. Just hide this. Now see, look at this child component, correct? The way we included the child component, we just need to write whatever parameter first we are passing, prepend or prefixed with the on keyword. So when you raise that event, this will get that notification. Like you click on the button, right? And the button handler, on click you have a handler. So same way, on dispatch of that event, this will get invoked, and then on this it will call this method from the parent. So I need to declare this method. So if you are clear how we are coming to this, the next part is very straightforward. Now simple, your control will be passed to this method. This method will get invoked, and in this method you can do whatever. So this is my method, say child one event. Okay, if you see here, child one event, right? So handle child one event, I am passing that event. So now this event is containing that variables like event dot detail dot input child one, event dot detail dot origin, whatever we have declared here, event dot detail dot origin, event dot detail dot input child one, right? Whatever you are passing, you can access it. I can have multiple events as well, separate event with separate names. So this is like we are creating our custom event, right? Natural events are already there. So if I go to button, I have that on click event. I can have on change event on input text box, right? Same way, For calling this method, I need to raise some event, and that event name is this. So that is why I am creating a custom event. So this custom event is there. With the help of this custom event, I am passing the details from child to parent. So once that event is raised, it will get captured here. Once it is captured here, it will follow the same principle afterwards. Call this method, and within this method, how to access those parameters is like in the event dot whatever the variable you give there, right? Detail, input child one or origin, that you will access here. What I am doing, I am just assigning that value here. As simple as that, right? So it's all matter of practice. If you do more and more practice, understand this syntax, consider this as nothing but a normal event that we have on click. Instead of on click, we are saying on first child. And for this on first child, we know from child we are raising that custom event. It's like we are shouting out, hey, there is some event happened. Now this will know. Once I shout, this is the name. Suppose I am calling someone with the name. Same way that custom event will call this. Once this is called, it will invoke this method. And the rest of the things, it's just accessing those details and doing whatever changes you want to do. So I would say rather from parent to child, child to parent is again easier, isn't it? If you think it thoroughly and try to relate it with the natural events, whatever standard events we have, instead of standard event, here we need to create our own event. That's why we call it as a custom event. Like we have a standard object, custom object. So this is a custom event. Okay. So again, I'm telling you the use cases, right? The use cases, why we are using child components or parent child communication, why we are learning this topic is because most of the cases we might find one component we can reuse at multiple places, right? And that's where we include a component into another component. Again, take a simple example. If you have trigger, do we write trigger logic, business logic in the trigger class? No, we create a separate helper class, right? If there are some common methods like I want to get a currency conversion rate, or I want to access some user standard system user or system profile some information. So any common things, I will create a separate method in the class called utility. Suppose I want to log the errors, I will do it in the utility class, right? If I want to apply some validations using our regex expressions, so I can put those methods in the utility class so that I can use it across multiple business logics. Don't want to repeat those things again and again because it comes up with the maintenance. So here it makes it very easy. If you have one component, you can reuse it multiple places. I will show you one sample as well where we need to use parent child components, right? So if you see here, now this is a kind of a workday app where you can keep the track of your task, or say app that a manager can use to keep a track of tasks of his team, right? Here we can modify this and include the username as well. So suppose I want a new task, right? Learn LWC icons usage, right? Add this task. This is coming in as a red. Once I say this is complete, it will go to down. So this is a separate component. This is separate component. The entire component is a separate one. Then within that we have these tabs in the parent. For each tab, I have used a separate component. See here, separate component, separate component. Right? This is showing me all tasks like completed, not completed, pending, complete. So I can reuse this component at multiple places. I can reuse this add task component at multiple places. So that is what the use of modularizing the things, right? You can try doing something like this. It's very straightforward. It is using templates for each loop. Excuse me. It is using tabs. It's using standard recorded form, right? A data table, normal for loop, right? All those things you can learn by doing exercise like this. Again, we'll go back to our original thing here. So here, suppose everywhere we have used the same icons. If I want to use some different icons, we know where to go, right? SLDS icons. See, whatever we are learning, this is bound to change. Always refer to the Salesforce documentation. Always refer LWC component library for any of the base components, any kind of events, communications, navigations, or your alerts, pop-ups, right? All those things are there. Suppose if I want to use some other standard icon, say app as an icon, I just need to copy this. As this is the standard, I'll just put standard colon this, right? So if you see here, icon name standard, I can put this as a app, save it. Once you save, this get deployed. Now simply go here and do a hard reload. See, things are very easy. The only thing is you need to pay attention and try doing things on your own. Unless you do it on your own, you won't be able to understand. So I'll be sharing all this content to you, okay, so that you can refer this. But remember, you have to create on your own. Use this as a starting point only or reference point. Same way you can do the things with child too. You don't have anything with the child too, you can do that. You can change the icons, put the title, right? Whatever title I am passing here, same way you can pass it there as well. Okay. Okay, I think this is pretty much for this session. See you in the next session. Keep coding. Okay. Thank you.